It's you.
Right. Welcome to the Little Italy Niagara show. We're going to have a little bit different, we actually have some live music tonight. And I'd like to welcome our first guest, Rick Miami.
How you doing?
From Virus X. And we're going to talk a little bit about the history of his band and all that, and what made him get into music and things like that. So I'd also like to welcome my co-host, Sam Frashone. It's always a pleasure here.
Thank you for having us here one time. Again, Mr. Moranto and the Board of Education, I just want everybody to know this will be our final episode of the Little Italy Niagara show. And in the fall, we're going to be coming out with a whole total new show with a new format that should hopefully keep you entertained for another 10 years. And I'd like to thank our sponsors who've been with us for the past 10 years, helping us out, feeding us, keeping us happy. One, of course, is Goodfellas Pizzeria, located at 745 Market Street. The Como restaurant has two great locations, 2220 Pine Avenue and 10158 Niagara Falls Boulevard. Also, we'd like to thank not Latina's Restaurant, the Latina Delicatessen and Grocery Store on the corner of 17th and Pine, right at the foot of the city market. They've also been a supporter of ours for the past 10 years. So, once again, I'd like to thank the Board of Education, Mr. Moranto, and the following three, Goodfellas, the Como, and Latina Food Service.
Perfect. And that's, for the last 10 years, they've definitely kept us.
Oh, yeah, as you can see, by the size of our heads and bellies.
Oh, God, yeah. From when you look at the very first one that we filmed on 19th Street until now, yeah, there has been a little bit of weight gain.
Yes, I know.
Or at least I know for one thing, the hair went gray.
Yes.
Even more than what it was. But I'd like to just welcome you to the Little Italy Niagara show.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on, and I'm kind of excited about doing this. For one, it's the last. You're like the final, person that's going to come and sing and play on our show after 10 years. And everything from Scrico to everybody else.
Padula, the Italian concert bands.
Yeah, the Italian La Corda l'Italia from Canada.
The A-list.
The A-list. We've had, over the years, we've had a lot of people come on. Mr. From Abbott.
Oh, yeah, Tony Nastasi
Tony
performed for us.
Nastasi and the music teacher.
Oh, Mr. Quinn.
Mr. Quinn.
And his magical acoustic guitar.
We had them come on and do a couple Sabbath songs and some other stuff. Pretty good.
Yeah,
we actually had them come down to the Falls and play one time, too,
yes.
at the Flash Cube down there. So over the last 10 years, we've had a lot of good music on here. We've had some good staples with Tony. And so music has always been part of the show. But the way that we're ending the music on this one is going to be extremely high notes. So it's going to be something powerful, something you guys haven't seen in a while, and most of you maybe never seen. So
at least 32 years.
At least 32 years. Well, in and out, but so when it comes to music, like I was saying before, not like Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath or any of those type of things. What was your musical influence in the house, I guess?
Well, my father, my mother. My father played guitar. My mother played piano. There was always a guitar in the house. Started picking it up when I was a boy. Just didn't even really know what I was doing with it, but I just grew into it. And then my dad gave me lessons. Also taught my nephew, and my mother taught my niece Chantel.
Chantel, the piano.
The piano. Wish I would have picked up the piano. He taught me and my nephew Sammy. So, and then of course, transitioned into Virus X and with rock, which
they
were happy
in the
about
beginning. That was like the practice space. So when it initially started, that's kind of like where it evolved at for the ideas and stuff. And
in the basement on Duro Drive.
Basement on Duro Drive out near the Summit Park Mall. It all began there. It kind of moved over to 3rd Avenue after that until it evolved to a point where it couldn't be handled on 3rd Avenue.
And it went to Josephine's basement.
And it went to 74th Street. And I don't think that they even understood what was being played in between their Michigan Rummy games. And pretty much that was the final practice spot. But a lot of good times, a lot of good years with music. And one of the most important things is that connection with music that you have. It leads to an artistic flair in almost everything that you do because it has the consistencies in it and structure. And obviously a lot of fun. So over the years and, let's talk a little bit about what we have here. Like this here, Fun Toy at the Zoo, this is available, and Sam can give you the spots that all this stuff's available in the end. And then this record, which came out, and a lot of people don't even know about vinyl, but it's coming back in.
Hold it up, Jer.
This one right here.
Yep.
Rick Miami. Yeah.
That record right there.
Was released in 1989.
So most of the students here at Niagara Falls High School, that's the 80s. That's a long time.
Probably weren't born.
Yes.
And there's a good chance some of your parents weren't. But this was what was out and what was big, which was vinyl. CDs and stuff like that didn't really come out until into the late 80s. Right, until the late 80s. And, you know, vinyl was the big thing. This is what you shopped around when you went and did gigs. You brought them a little press kit with that stuff. So over the years, when things transformed into compact discs, you know, it made it easier to record everything. A lot cleaner, a lot smaller, obviously, of a package. But with these comes, you know, you got artwork and stuff on here, but these are so much more personal. And, you know, and there's so many other uses with the vinyl. You have DJing and stuff like that. And the two vinyl records that were Virus X that produced were great sellers, and it was always a good time going out and presenting those to people.
Great times in Toronto.
Great time in Toronto. Band's been all over, here to New York, Southern Ontario, all over New York State, from Jazzberries in Rochester to a lot of different venues that were played. And all of them were great fun.
Yep.
We had a great time, and
College airplay. Between playing at Buff State to Niagara Community College, was super exciting to present all that music out there. Now what we want to do today is we're going to play everything not off of these two, but play everything off of the original album. Rick's going to sing and do that, and me and Sam are going to jump in with them, and we'll see how we sound together.
Before we go on to that next part, Rick, let's talk a little about your history with Virus X. Explain to the whole thing how it started and when it began, if you want.
I would say on Duro Drive and at my parents' home on Duro Drive, Jerry had just moved back from Florida, and we would kick around the different guitars at my father's house and watch
Used to always have all
cable
the acoustics
TV
and have everything.
and just start making up songs.
Making up
and
songs, man.
We'd make up chords, and next thing you know, we had lyrics, and we were like getting a little bit bored with the type of music that was actually out there, so we started making stuff that was just fun for us to perform for ourselves and our friends, and it wound up being a band that eventually was
Touring
making
everywhere.
vinyl and going, you know, all over. So
How many records did you actually produce with the Virus X Rick Miami package?
there's two Virus X, Rick Miami vinyl. This Virus X afforded me the chance to make this solo album. Then we went to the CD, which contains all the Virus X material and some unreleased things, because with CDs you can fit so much more on them.
Right.
He had a concise amount that would go on an LP, a long player, as a LP means.
Now the first one we had, there was 6 songs total on that, and a lot of people think, you know, in those days, that's, you know, there'd be 5, 6, 8 songs on an album. You know, when you look at this one, there's roughly 21 on this, which is a combination of everything and some unreleased stuff.
Right.
So come around 85 is the music scene starting to really get it on all over in the Western New York area. Pretty much venues like the Continental, Mr. Shab's,
Right.
Salty Dog, Sky
Salty
Room.
Dog. You know, and as the band progressed, in conjunction with WBNY and at Buff State, a lot of different things, a lot of different doors opened up, and a lot of different bands played with us. You know, you would know them as the Goo Goo Dolls now. They were the Beaumonts then, and they used to tour around with us, and you had the
10,000 Maniacs.
10,000 Maniacs. Those were all bands that initially, you know, now you know them as from recording and, you know, touring and stuff like that and being really big.
Green Jello.
Green Jello, especially Natalie Merchant. Green Jello was the very first band to ever do a cartoon on MTV, Little Wolf. And I can still remember when we went and saw, everybody went together to go see Kiss. They were unmasked or taking the makeup off. And I can still remember Bill Manspeaker throwing the Green Jello record up on stage, and literally Kiss stopped. I'd never seen anything.
Yeah.
Paul Stanley picked up their record, and I can't really say what he said on this show, but he basically made a remark and flipped it out back to the crowd. But here you go, sold out. Then Memorial Auditorium, not where the venue now, sold out. And you got to have your band's name thrown up in the air, even though it was thrown back to the crowd. So, I mean, all the bands in those days, the Painkiller, all these different bands that were around, kind of hung together, played around in different venues together. There's a heavy, heavy, heavy competition.
Green Jello went gold on there.
Green Jello went gold
yeah.
on that. And I think besides them and the Goo Goo Dolls, is pretty much all that came out of that with really heavy record sales.
Mm-hmm.
But it just goes to show you that there's a chance that you can do something. So when you're into music, you never quit. Always keep it with you. I mean, you're talking over 35 years for myself and us here that have been in music, from purchasing the, when did you purchase that set from Grisanti's on Pine?
1980.
1980. So, and I still have one of the amps that's here I bought from Jerry D'Amico in 81 when he was on, 19th Street or whatever it was. So a lot of this,
yeah,
a lot of this equipment, D'Amico's was a PV dealer. I imagine they still are. Everything I play is PV. But we had some great times. And
got to
really
meet Johnny
good
Thunders,
history.
Joan Jett, Wendy O. Williams,
Lemmy.
the
Lemmy,
Damned,
The Damned.
Lemmy, Thompson Twins when I first started seeing
Thompson
Heather.
Twins.
We were personal friends with Teenage Head.
Personal
Teenage
friends
Head.
with Teenage Head, of course. And
Played a
Forgot
lot
Rebels.
with them. That's some of our biggest shows. So we had a great, I would say over time, a great musical history. It's going to be really nice to throw out, some of the songs from the Pink album, which is back on a rise, and some upcoming shows. Sam can let you know about some of the things with Record Deer and stuff like that coming up.
Yeah, for those of you that are interested in looking up Virus X and Rick Miami on the internet, all you have to do is go to Google and type in Virus X Uniray Records or Rick Miami Uniray Records, and you'll find a huge variety of videos that have been published by us as well as other fans over the past 30 years on YouTube and various websites throughout the world. I don't know how the internet is. It's internet.
We've been searching.
It's international. And our music right now, we've re-released the vinyl with Rick and the CD, and those are available at Record Theater in both Buffalo and Amherst. Black Dot Records in corner of Lafayette and Church in Buffalo.
Record Baron.
The Record Baron on Delaware Avenue, as well as the record store on Buffalo Avenue here in the city of Niagara Falls, which is known as what? Music Matters. Music Matters.
Yes.
And as well as the music's also being focused and sent out back to CFNY 102.1 in Toronto and 107.7 in Buffalo, the alternative music station. So our music is coming back and it's doing well, and it's alive again.
It was interesting. We went to Record Theater because they're interested in doing a re-release party, and they want to do a live show there. And I don't think, and most of the kids today, unless they went to, FYE or whatever, most of the kids today don't know about the Saturday afternoon at Cabbage's or even Record Theater.
Yeah.
Going in and just flipping through all the record albums. And, when we were in the store and Sam was doing some things in the store with the owners, I don't think in 30 years I've done that, or 25 years I've done that. And it was just unbelievable. You're just talking to friends as you're flipping through it. I mean, it's all, you may see it on some 70s show or some movie like that. I can't think of that one movie, but it's that whole connection with music and, being in the record store, talking to your friends. And it's a store that you could literally spend I remember from being in the Summit Park Mall and Cabbages you'd spend a half hour looking at posters.
Yeah.
You'd spend maybe you could be in the store 3 hours and not be thrown out without purchasing a single thing. You'd go through every record bin looking for that weird import or that bootleg kind of import that they would sell. And we had a lot of great times just doing that.
Exactly, because it's the only way you could choose records back then. Just so you guys know, the kids are young. In the 80s, there was no internet. There was no
internet.
There was no mass media, so you'd spend hours in a record store looking at the records individually, not knowing what they sounded like, and virtually you based your decision on the artwork that was on the cover. Was what lured you to purchase the record.
Yeah, you make a really good point there. There was no MP3 sample for 10 or 15 seconds. If you wanted to buy Houses of the Holy because you knew the Rover, or whatever tune you wanted. You rolled the dice for the rest of the stuff. I mean, that goes for any record that you purchased. We used to say, man, that record's good right from the beginning to the end. They're like, hey, skip track 4.
Yeah.
You pick the needle up and go over 2 more, keep rubbing the one, I don't think there's as much as excitement as as with your iPod Touch or whatever you're
That's what the kids miss out on nowadays. They don't understand the actual lure of music was the art as well.
Right.
So based on those facts that we've discussed tonight, we're actually going to sit down with Rick now coming up in about a couple minutes and come out with him perform, I don't know, 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah.
Sure.
What do we have with you, Rick, tonight? I know you brought a friend with you here tonight.
This is Derrik Line, the bass player. He's been with Virus X since the 90s. Our original bass player had gone to a different band.
Yes.
We had started out with another good friend of ours, Art.
Yep.
Art
Albion.
Performed, and Leo McDonald, my cousin.
LaSalle High School graduate, 1984.
Yeah, so we went through a couple bass players. Ended up with Leo. Leo left us after
Leo
a
McDonald.
show in Tonawanda. We were at the
No.
metal shop. And
Yes, it was that show. You're
And
right.
when we were done with the show,
Thought that was
Bruce
after Teenage
Wojcik
Head.
and the guys were there, and they said, "Hey, Leo, want to join us?" Leo joined God's Children. That was his choice, but it was a good choice for him.
Right.
It was.
Well,
He's great, yeah.
And forming Clear, but give us a few
We
minutes,
got to do his cover songs and do all that. But we thank all the guys that have played with us, and all of it's been great.
Brian Taylor.
All of it's been great, and we're going to be right back and show you what it's all about.
Hi, everybody. We're Virus X. Please don't cut me off. I'm driving way too fast. I gotta get to where I'm going. I gotta get there fast. If you cut me off, you're really gonna pay. You're gonna pay, you're gonna pay, you're gonna pay, gonna pay, gonna pay. Hey, don't put your blinker on. I don't want you to move. Just stay right in your lane. On TV, you're just the same. Everybody tells you why. Hey, hey, get away. Don't jump in the way of my car. Yeah, I don't fool around with jokers just like you. Just because you got a driver's license, don't drive in my way. Hey, hey. Yeah. This is Niagara Falls. Thank you. Saturday night at the morgue. Everybody looks pretty bored. I look pretty bored. Saturday night at the morgue. And blood, blood all over. Blood all over. Blood on the floor. Blood here too. You're in drawer number 22. Drawer number 17 is somebody else's bad scene. You look like someone else. Different. Hey! You're blue! You're dead! You're dead! And you're dead too! Wow. Saturday night at the morgue with you. 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 And you're in drawer number 22. I think I'm going home with you, honey. I think your purple bedroom's funny. I'm being watched by a teddy bear. I covered up his eyes with your underwear. Everything about your purple bedroom's funny. Run at the exact same time as me, honey. I think I'm going home with you, honey. I think your purple bedroom's funny. Yeah, I'm being watched by a teddy bear. I covered up his eyes with your underwear. Everything about your purple bedroom's funny. Run at the exact same time as me, honey. Go, Jerry, go! What goes on? This one's for Lou Reed, great musician out of New York State residents, and Bowie and David Bowie. They performed this together many times. Sabine, I've seen them play many times, Lou Reed and Bowie. So this is what we're gonna do for the Velvet Underground part of, excuse me, Velvet Underground days for Lou Reed. It's called What Goes On. What goes on in your mind? I think that I have fallen down. What goes on in your mind? I think my head is upside down. Baby, be good, do what you should. You know it'll be alright. Baby, be good, do what you should. You know it'll be alright. I'm going I'm coming down. I'm taking a ride from side to side. See the bells up in the sky. Somebody cut that string in two. Baby, be good. Well, you should. You know it'll be alright. Baby, be good. Do what you should. You know it'll be alright. It'll be alright, yeah! One minute up, then 1 minute down. 1 minute up, down, side to side. What goes on in your mind? I think that I have fallen down. Baby, be good, do what you should. You know it'll be alright. Baby, be good, do what you should. You know it'll be alright. It'll be alright, yeah! Baby, be good, do what you should. You know it'll be alright. Baby, be good, do what you should. You know it'll be alright. Yeah! Come on! Thank you, Niagara Falls! Come and see us at the Record Theater. We love our city.